Hi everybody and welcome back to the studio. Today I'm going to show you how to add texture to a pot, and to demonstrate this I'm going to use this coil pot that I made, and I'm going to add texture to the surface with a technique called notching. So this is an extreme home makeover for this little palm, the ponytail palm. That's been really due for an upgrade. As you can see, it's really outgrown its pot. So this is hopefully the new home of my ponytail palm. I'm just going to adjust the camera and then we can get going. So to do the notching on this pot, I'm going to use a little ribbon tool like this. That's got quite a broad curve at the end. My pot is thick, so I don't really have to worry about cutting through it. But if you're working with a thinner pot, it's always a good idea to check on the edge of your pot and to see how deep you can go with your tool without really getting to a point that's too thin for comfort. So I'm going to start with the bottom half of my pot, which is the stronger part, that's drier by now. And then later I'll just turn the pot over and I'll go to the rim that still needs to get a bit firmer. So the tool I'm using, this ribbon tool, you can substitute that with a spoon. Some round edged thing like a popsicle stick if you have one, or you can use a flattened bottle top. Really there are many options. You can use a curved knife like a hoof knife. But anyway, this is what I have, so this is what I'm going to use. And then when I'm done carving the pot, I'm going to burnish the indentations, the notches that I've made. Okay, let's go. I find it looks better when you overlap your notches, but I suppose that's also a matter of personal choice. You have to do a bit of a scooping action, so to get a nice rounded notch at the bottom, which I still have to get some practice with. So for this process, it's very important that your clay must be leather hard, otherwise it won't carve well. And I'm just going to try a little notch here at the top. Seems okay, but the clay might still be a little soft here. So I'm just going to give that a chance to set up before I start from the top. So while I'm waiting for the top part of my pot to become a bit firmer, I'm going to start burnishing the bottom notches that I've made. And I'm doing this because the clay I'm using has a lot of grog in it. It's very coarse, and I would like to sort of smooth out these dimples, and burnishing gives them a very nice shiny finish. So for burnishing you can use a tumbled stone like this one. You can also use a spoon or anything that's got a very smooth shiny surface that fits into the notch you've cut. Okay, I'm quite happy with how that looks. So as soon as I feel I can take the chance, I'm going to just turn the pot upside down and then we'll start from the other side. Okay, so that's the notching and the first round of burnishing done. I'm now going to turn the pot upside down and we're going to do the other half. While you were away, I turned around the pot and I found that it was quite heavy on the base. So to address that problem, I'm now taking the notches through to the center of the pot at the bottom in the form of these longer grooves, just to take off some of the weight that's making this a very unbalanced bottom heavy pot at the moment. Lots of clay coming off here. I just went to get my shaving brush so that I can remove a lot of the clay crumbs that I now have on the surface of my pot. You can see better where there are slightly raised pieces that I still need to carve away, just so that it will be relatively flat and even. It doesn't have to be perfect. If you want perfect, you make a pot on the wheel. So a coil pot is never perfect, and that's okay. Got my stone again. Okay, that doesn't look half bad. But in the process of smoothing these grooves, I've now realized that there is one place where I'm actually going through the bottom of the pot. So I'm just going to get a small piece of wet clay. Okay, now I'm literally just going to patch that up with some fresh clay. I'm not using a score and slip here because I'm afraid that if I add any moisture, I'm just going to weaken this further. But I'm really smoothing the new clay into that groove very well, making sure that it forms a good bond. This looks quite alright to me. So I am going to have a cup of coffee for my nerves now, and when I come back I'll be notching the other half of my pot. Hi everyone, I've done a little experiment that I'd like to share with you. So I just made some notches in a piece of clay that's as hard as my pot is, and you can see they're very coarse because of all the grog in the clay. So what I wanted to see is what the difference is between smoothing these with my finger and smoothing them with the tumbled pebble that I used on the bottom half of the pot. So I'm just going to smooth these with my finger, and then I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so I think you should be able to see that these 4 notches I smoothed with my finger, and they're actually now much smoother than the rest. They have almost a shiny surface. But if you look very closely, you can still see the pieces of grog there. I hope it's clear for you. So now I'm going to use the stone and we'll see the difference. These 3 notches I smoothed with the stone, and you can see that they are much smoother than the ones I did with my thumb. And also you can't see the grog at all. So they've become completely smooth and the grog's not visible. So I do think that it is worth the effort to use the stone if you want a nice smooth finish. I'm now going to do the notching on the other half of my pot. Well, I'm saying the other half, but actually it's not quite half because, as you can see, I've gone very skew with the first round. So some places I have a little to do, and in other places there's quite a lot to do still. But let me get going with that now. Okay, that seems to be the notching bit of the process done. So I'll now also go smooth out these notches that I've now made, and then afterwards I will just turn the pot back on its bottom and just see what we need to do in terms of finishing the rim and maybe have a look at whatever damage I caused when I tried to also remove some clay from the bottom. I just wanted to show you how much clay actually came off the pot. That is a massive amount of clay that came off. So definitely not something to be attempted if you don't have a pot that's got a thick wall. Finally, all the notches have been smoothed, and now all that remains is to turn the pot upright and to fix up the rim and see whether there's anything inside that needs fixing. As you can see here, the rim doesn't look too bad. And it also seems that the little mistake I made earlier when I took some clay off the bottom didn't cause any damage inside. So that's very good news. The notched planter is all done, and the ponytail palm can look forward to its new home very soon. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please click like, and if you'd like to have more clay dates with me in the studio, please subscribe to my channel.